Back in the 1930s, there was a kid at Hollywood High School, LA, by the name of Everett Ruess, R-U-E-S-S, teenager. And someone got him out backpacking, horsepacking in the Sierra. And that was it for this boy. That was all it took. He was hooked. All he wanted to do was get out into the wilderness and be out there as much as he possibly could. He was also an artist, a quite accomplished woodcut artist. Got started with that at Hollywood High. Came from an artistic family, so he had a head start that way. So he would spend extended periods in wilderness as a kid. You know, unimaginable that parents today would, it's like, what? Let this kid go with a burro into the Escalante wilderness of Utah for months at a time by himself? But that's what he did. He would hitchhike out on, you know, funky cars on rutted roads out into the boonies of the Navajo reservation and just go into the boonies for, and you know, had a puppy and a bag of flour and some basic provisions thrown over into the panniers of a burro, and off he went. And he wrote letters back to his family, and they are gorgeous, the most beautiful letters, with illustrations also. What a remarkable legacy this young man left. Because when he was 20 years old, he did another of his epic hikes, went down into the Escalante, down the narrow slot canyons, down, and was never seen again, disappeared. The only trace of him was an inscription on a rock wall in one of the canyons that a backpacker discovered that said Nemo, chipped out of the rock, Nemo, which means nobody in Latin. He had merged and become one with the beauty that he saw. And in his letters, here's a couple lines from his letters. I have constantly known beauty so piercing as to be almost unbearable. Isn't that good? I have known beauty so piercing as to be almost unbearable. I don't know about you. Anybody experienced that? I certainly have out in the wilderness. In the same country that he wandered, I've had that experience. I have loved the red rocks, the twisted trees, the red sand blowing in the wind, the slow sunny clouds crossing the sky, the shafts of moonlight on my bed at night. I have seemed to be at one with the world. I have rejoiced to set out, to be going somewhere, and I have felt a still sublimity, looking deep into the coals of my campfires and seeing far beyond them. Oh, isn't that good? Isn't that good? That youngster packed a lot of life into a very short couple of years. Seeing far beyond the embers into which he stared. That's our challenge today, is to look into the artwork that's on the walls and see beyond them, to let them draw us in and draw us out, to be at one with the world through the portals of these artworks today. Here's a quote from Bronowski, who was a philosopher of science and a mathematician, and his wise words about this topic. The discoveries of science, the works of art, are explorations. More are explosions of a hidden likeness. The discoverer or the artist presents in them two aspects of nature and fuses them into one. This is the act of creation, in which an original thought is born, and it is the same act in original science and in original art. There's artistry and science. There's science and artistry. There's a connection there that's very profound. This view alone gives a meaning to the act of appreciation. For the appreciator must see the movement, wake to the echo that was started in the creation of the work. In the moment of appreciation, we live again the moment when the Creator saw or held the hidden likeness. We recreate the creative act, and we ourselves make the discovery again. So, appreciating a work of art, to go deep, to see into it and beyond it even, is to reenact the creation of that artwork. Art appreciation is art. It is art. It's the same act, yes? It's a reenactment of the creative act of the artist. You participate in the creation of that work of art, whatever it is. You're part of that process. You're the artist too by appreciating the art. This line I love is from Chesterton, beloved writer, turn of the century, 19th, 20th. This line is great. A traveler sees what he sees. A tourist sees what he came to see. Oh, ho, ho, ho. We could have a whole discussion about that at coffee hour. Talk about that around the tables with your cookies and coffee. A traveler sees what he sees. A tourist sees what he came to see. The challenge for us in appreciating art, contemplating it, is to see what we see and to be open to whatever that is, which may very much surprise us, even if it's a familiar work of art or something that looks like, yeah, okay. See what you see. Let go of seeing what you came to see. Just let go of seeing what you expect to see or assume that you're going to see. Doctorow, the author, the novelist, he said, creativity is like driving a car at night. You never see further than your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. Isn't that great? You know, creative people don't know where they're going. They can't see the finished product. They might have some idea, but very often not. Yeah? They're discovering the final product as they make it. It's not finished in their minds or in their imaginations. Very often that's the case. But they've got headlights, right? They're seeing something, and they're making what they're seeing. Very often the things that they didn't expect to make, the things they didn't expect to see. Madeleine L'Engle, beloved writer of children's literature, yes, and a deep Christian person, Episcopal person, progressive Christian, really. She wrote this in her book called Walking on Water, which was a meditation on art and spirituality. Very deep book. The artist who is a Christian, like any other Christian, is required to be in this world, but not of it. We are to be in this world as healers, listeners, servants. In art, we are once again able to do all the things we have forgotten. We're able to walk on water. We speak to the angels who call us. We move unfettered among the stars. We write, we make music, we draw pictures because we're listening for meaning, feeling for healing. And during the writing of the story or the painting or the composing or the singing and playing, we are returned to that open creativity which was ours when we were children. We cannot be mature artists if we have lost the ability to believe, which we had as children. An artist at work is in a condition of complete and total faith. Again, as St. Paul said, hope that is seen is not hope. right? Faith that is seen, that is expected, is not really faith at all. And now from the Tao Te Ching. Wise words that can guide us as we appreciate art today. Colors blind the eye, sounds deafen the ear. Flavors numb the taste, thoughts weaken the mind, desires wither the heart. The master observes the world but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open to the sky. Again, so much of what we're doing with our eyes is basically using them as projectors, right? There's a movie playing in your head, and it shines through your eyes onto whatever you're looking at. But it's your movie that you're projecting. And then you're seeing what you expect to see, what you feel comfortable seeing, right? But the Tao Te Ching is inviting us to recognize that blinds us to so much of what's going on in the world around us. Elizabeth Barrett Browning, remember this line, "Earth's crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God." Well, do we have the eyes to see that? Yeah? Are we awake to the heaven that is crammed into everything, every little obscure and otherwise seemingly unimportant or boring thing? Are we open to that? Can we see the fire in every common bush or weed, right? We got a lot of those here at this church. Maybe we should all go out in the back and stare at the weeds too today. See if they're afire with God. This is from 14th century Dutch mystic, Christian mystic, John Ruysbroek. He said, "We behold that which we are, and we are that which we behold." We behold that which we are, and we are that which we behold. So if we want to be something or somebody beyond just our, physical, egoic, personality selves, then we need to behold the fire in every common bush. We need to see that the earth is crammed with heaven. It relates to a quote my line that I've used in many contexts. You are the beauty that you see. You are the beauty that you see. In a culture that is obsessed with beauty, personal beauty, our own physical beauty or lack thereof in our minds, it helps to think this thought, does it not? We are not the beauty that other people see. We are the beauty that we see, right? That is what defines us and makes us divine in our seeing. Antonio Porcia, he was an Argentine poet, a working man, right? A proletarian, if you will, who wrote poetry, much of it in the form of proverbs, very pithy, wonderful proverbs that he wrote in Spanish. One of his lines was, "We see by means of something which illumines us, which we do not see." Let that one sink in. We see by means of something that illumines us, which we do not see. Yeah? So there's a light within that enables us to see deeply into the world. And by tapping into that light within, we can see more. We can see every common bush afire with God. Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said, "Imagination is a very high sort of seeing which does not come by study, but by the intellect being where and what it sees. Ooh, that's deep. Yeah. Can you be where and what you're looking at, right? Be fully present with it. You ever have this experience? The Greek term for it is ecstasy, ekstasis, out of your state, right? You're so deep into seeing deeply into things that you're not there anymore, you know? I just think of my grandson Jake staring at water. He loved, when he was very young, he was mesmerized by water. And he would just stare at a swimming pool like that. Wah, 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 wah. He was the water, right? He became the water. His intellect, his being was one with what he was gazing at, yeah? That's a high sort of seeing. And again, it's not something you get to by studying things, but by fully engaging and participating in it. Barbara McClintock, very famous biologist, she studied corn for her whole life because the genetics of corn, very interesting. It's an unusual plant. And she talked about this. She says, I am totally into corn. Not just as a subject matter for study, but she was in love with corn. She stared at corn. She was lost herself. She went into ecstasis with corn. And that ecstasis is what enabled her to think creatively in scientific exploration about the genetics of corn. Art. Another line from Portia. He said, I know what I have given you. I do not know what you have received. Isn't that good? I know what I have given you, but I don't know what you've received. I think we all experience this when we give presents to children, right? You should like this, right? Surely you will like this. Well, maybe not, you know? Maybe, and maybe the purpose to which a small child is going to put the gift that you gave them is completely different than the purpose to which you intended it to be given. You know what you have given the child, but you don't know what the child has received. Yeah? True of every gift that we give. True of art. You know, I can make a work of art, and I think I know what I have presented to you, but what you make of it, how you experience it, that's your art, right? Your artistic contribution is your experience of it, your participation in it, in your own creative seeing. There's more wisdom here about art. This comes from Monet, the great artist. And it's just a hint about how we can look at the art around us today. He says, for me, a landscape does not exist in its own right since its appearance changes at every moment. But the surrounding atmosphere brings it to life. The light and the air, which vary continually. For me, it is only the surrounding atmosphere which gives subjects their true value. So you paint, you know, a woman lying in the grass, that's the subject. And you might title it, you know, Woman Lying in the Grass. Meanwhile, Monet says what really gives that picture the value is not the woman on the grass, it's the environment around, the periphery around the subject that really makes it pop and brings it alive. Arthur Zients, he's a physicist at Dartmouth, and I got to meet the guy. He's kind of the granddaddy of contemplative pedagogy. That's the use of meditative methods in teaching, a really profound man. And he had deep things to say about this sort of subject. He said, sometimes far more interesting and intelligent things happen if we drop the attempt to plan everything centrally and become attentive instead to the periphery. Everything around what you're supposedly focusing on. Other people may have something to offer me. They also have ideas and intentions. After all, the next time you step into a meeting, turn to others. Attend to them first, asking what the world has in store for you. The teachings of Socrates and Jesus seem almost exclusively to occur in response to sudden chance meetings or events. All the great sages seem to have been peripheral planners, not central planners. Yeah? Look at open yourself to looking at the periphery. What's on the edges? What's around? What's the atmosphere around something? And see what happens. It's a way of seeing. So the Christ invites us to see and to go deeper with seeing and to see into things and through things and beyond things, to use what we see to make them into windows. Each one of these works of art around us is a window into an experience. The experience of the artist, but also the experience of you as an artist, an artistic appreciator of the art. So today, let us enjoy this process of creativity that comes from seeing deeply. Amen.